Okay, please stand. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, let's see. I guess I had hoped I thought Kim was going to be here, but we'll have to do a roll call without her. So, give me a minute here. I'll have to write it on the sheet unless she has one here. Roll call sheet. No, okay. All right. Tony?
Here.
Matt?
Here.
Okay. Tiffany?
Here.
Lori?
Here.
Joe?
Here.
Mayor has emailed about 15 minutes.
Diane, you here?
Oh, Diane, I'm here. Okay, so we're on. Thank you. So the mayor had emailed about 30 minutes ago that she probably wouldn't make it. So she did notify us of that as far as an excused absence. Okay. So green cards are, everybody here knows the drill. Green cards are over on the counter if you so desire to use them. We're just going to go right into the legislation. So we are here at a special meeting to read the resolution 2019-21 to place the amended charter on the ballot. A resolution 2019-21, a resolution to forward the amended proposed charter of the Village of Minerva Park for consideration of the electors of the village on the November 2019 ballot. So I move that we waive the three readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call actors.
Pardon? Yeah. Yeah, roll call.
Do you want me to do the roll call?
That'd help.
Here.
That would be terrific.
I apologize, this is my first meeting ever for you guys, so I don't have everybody's names down, but I will do my best.
Am I on there?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Switch.
So on the question of waiving the three readings, which has been moved and seconded, Councilman Curl? Here.
No.
Aye. Councilwoman Howard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hughes?
Aye.
President Trim?
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti?
Aye.
Councilman Starr?
Aye.
Okay.
Ayes have it, 6-0. Motion passes.
Okay. I move for passage of resolution 2019-21.
As an emergency?
No, it doesn't.
Emergency is
It doesn't.
necessary.
Sorry.
Don't mess me.
You can't.
She was ready for
I
it.
was ready.
Before we get there, I'll just say one sentence, since we are waiving the readings. The reason for that is we do not have enough time to get it on the ballot per Franklin County Board of Elections rules without waiving these readings. That is why we're waiving the readings.
Let's see. So if there are no further comments, we need a second.
Second.
Okay.
On the question of passing resolution 2019-21, Councilman Curl?
Aye.
Councilman Howard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hughes?
Aye.
President Trim?
Aye.
Councilman Benedetti?
Aye.
Councilman Starr?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay. That is the only legislation we have on the agenda for tonight. Is there any new business or old business?
I just have one clarification thing that has to do with the charter that I just kind of wanted to, it's on there, we're done. But I just wanted to ask for, just for the record, just so we know, there was a section on there that was really confusing to me, so I just kind of wanted to clear it up, and I'd actually asked a couple different people. It had to do with all resolutions shall be effective immediately, except when resolutions substantially pertain to village sewer, water line zoning, road construction, or expenditures of more than 5%. It has been brought to my attention that I'm only saying this because I deal with sewers and road, this is basically everything that I do. After asking
That,
okay.
yes.
As well as, my understanding to it, it's basically any dollar amount for sewers, water line, zoning, road construction, and expenditures of over 5%. So it is not storm sewers, water lines of 5% or more. It is any dollar amount of storm sewers, water lines, zoning, and road construction. So I really just wanted to kind of make sure that you guys were aware that's what it does in fact say, because that's not what I believe you guys intended it to say.
That's 100% what it was intended to say.
Okay, because I read your minutes and it wasn't. So
No.
for $1 of a sewer, you guys know that we have to cannot waive the readings and do that, so.
But you're correct.
Okay. Now, I read your minutes and it actually said that you wanted it to be at over 5%, so any dollar amount of sewers.
No, it was any of those items listed
Okay.
and any expenditure greater than 5%.
Interesting. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure because I'd asked you about it and you said no, it was over 5%. So all sewer and road construction is $1. We can't waive a reading or pass it as an emergency. Okay. Yes.
And I think if I could elaborate on that, the reason we want to make sure we're clear on that is because it's one of those things that isn't really, the charter makes things more difficult for council to do its job. That's one of those examples, by requiring every one of those projects to have to go through the full 3 readings and pass them as emergency.
Well, my view on it was actually just simply, you're allowing us to move forward on any landscaping project or anything like that without, and we don't have to, we're able to waive readings, we're able to do anything, but actual storm sewer problems that affect our residents, we can't do, but I can have all, and this isn't, and maybe we should just move on. I just wanted to make that clear that I've had somebody tell me that that is not what the intention was, and I just wanted to make sure because that's obviously something that I'm dumbfounded. Simple, we'll move on. Thank you. That's good clarification to ask.
All right. Any other new or old business?
Well, I wanted to talk about that sheet that,
Oh, yeah.
what you need a permit for. And I had no idea that was being used and given out to people as an example of when you need to, or a guideline for when you need to get a permit. That sheet of paper is wrong in so many ways and needs to get taken off of the website, and we need to take a look at that document. Or really, we need to, I would say, start over, because these misunderstandings about what our code actually says, has been going on for 15 years now. And that's at the bottom of everything that I've been bringing up for the past 12 years.
Right.
Is all the things in the code all the things we tell people they need to do. It's not in the code anywhere.
Well, I think it goes
And-
back to the basketball court as being I think there's just so many holes in all of that I don't think anybody has any idea what they need a permit for.
Well,
I spoke with Eric Fisher in person on Friday, and he said that document would be taken off the website so that it would not be accidentally used as guidance, and while it was down, it would be redone. I do not know, I'm looking now to see whether it is
it's under
down
zoning.
at this time.
Probably not.
Probably not, since I did talk to him on Friday, so.
Right.
No, it is still up.
Yep.
But I understand.
All right, so we have, this being a special meeting, our council meeting, the first of the month, ish. we'll have Eric here, and by that time, we can follow up in emails to make sure that it's getting taken down in the meantime, and we'll find out what the next steps are. Are there any other next steps that you're proposing now that the council can do in lieu
Not
of?
before the work session, other than, this came to light because of the French drain
Yes.
that's someone's trying to install.
Right.
And that, I'm not sure where Eric's coming from and
Right.
under what authority he's issuing these orders to these
Right.
people. So
So we
it's
need
really
to-
a discussion that, I would say we need to start from the beginning when it comes to what people need permits for.
So what's coming first, our next council meeting or planning and zoning?
I think the work session is the
Planning.
next meeting.
I think planning and zoning's first. I think it's planning and zoning because I think that's like the next Wednesday. Our work session's not until like the 10th.
Yeah,
I don't think the calendar for next month.
That I don't know.
I think
Well,
that didn't Pam Parker say that it was the 7th of August?
Yeah, and I think our work session is the 10th.
Yeah, so,
Ish.
I
Next
personally,
I've done both of those. Planning and zoning is the 7th, work session is the 10th.
Yeah.
well, things like,
so you think this belongs
I
in
would-
council rather than
I
planning and
think
zoning?
we need to take care of this because planning and zoning, it's
Well,
not the
they're-
place.
it
I mean,
just
they can
seems-
make
it
all the
seems- it
recommendations.
seems
that-
confusing
The
as
thing
to
about
what's
it is
who's
they
doing
can
what.
make all the recommendations they want, then it comes back to us and we say, no, this is what we want. That's
Right,
the thing that I see happening. And it's just like with, hiring a landscape designer for they went ahead and did that and then we came back and said, well, we're not ready to do all that just yet. And I think this is another example of we need to just, I wouldn't say eliminate them, because I think we have to send it back to them for their approval when we change any kind of the zoning ordinances. But I really would like to have us start working on that instead of turning it over to planning and zoning.
oh, okay, so I think we probably need more discussion about that.
Yeah,
So, for example, when you say us, I'm not sure, because I'm not.
I don't know what
I'm
committee
not-
that would-
Yeah, what is that? Because I'm not an expert in code enforcement for sure, and zoning, so,
Well,
I
part of
mean,
it
it needs
is
to
who's
be.
responsible for it. I mean, we're all still going back and forth between Franklin
Right.
County or is it Minerva Park or who set these,
well, this is the one thing I would say to anybody looking at that list, and I just was explaining this to Matt, is that although we're in Franklin, and maybe you can clarify this for me, the Franklin County ordinances only apply to the unincorporated parts of the county, is my understanding of the Franklin County zoning ordinances. Like, for example, they have a chicken ordinance that, you have to do this, that, and the other thing to have chickens. That doesn't apply to us because we're an incorporated municipality.
That is correct. As a municipality, you have the power to adopt your own zoning
And because Franklin County has just because Franklin County has an ordinance, that doesn't mean that it applies to us.
That is correct.
Thank you.
But
Because
if we as a village put something in writing that said, we will follow Franklin
Mhm.
County
Yeah.
if we don't have something on our own books, could we have done that?
You could have done that. You can incorporate their regulations by reference where you haven't taken specific action yourself.
And that's
There
what
are-
we discussed, Tony.
And there are certain areas where the county has its own authority. For example, licensure of restaurants. They take care of that. But that's a function of state law. On the question of like the chicken ordinance example, that just because Franklin County has one doesn't mean that the village would have
So
the same
apply.
thing.
And that's
unless
a good
it was
example.
incorporated by reference.
If we wanted to use Franklin County to oversee our chicken ordinance, we could have, assign them that duty
Well-
and say that, not that I'm implying that we do that.
Right, and typically that would be something where you could adopt an ordinance regulating chickens, just since we're on that example, and then enter into some kind of agreement with Franklin County's enforcement officials to come into the village
Right.
and enforce, or have your own code enforcement person enforce.
And that's the kind of stuff that we need to talk about with this format, or this form that we come up with. And if you look, and I think the first step is for everybody to, before it gets taken down, to take a look at it.
Well, we'll still have access to it once it gets
Well,
taken
yeah,
down, it doesn't
well, yeah,
disappear.
well, yeah.
So I think clarifying where we stand with, because Eric was going back and forth on the Franklin County thing, and I think first of all is to clarify where we really are by actually acquiring the documentation, that if there is a documentation where we've asked Franklin County and they've agreed,
Well, you can look
then
at,
we need to just have that, and when we have the discussion, make sure we have proof of all.
there's
not-
an
not
it's
hearsay.
ordinance, I don't know the number, I think it might be 2007.
Seven.
2007, that has, when we created the residential building department in Minerva Park, the only thing that we did was assign the building inspections to Franklin County. And then he brings up that we are a sub-department of Franklin County's building
Yeah,
department.
that's where it gets that's really fuzzy, I don't get that,
We are a
so,
can you answer
sub-department, I would say,
that?
because
I mean, we don't, why
Franklin County does our building inspections.
sure,
That's why we are a subset of their building department.
When you say building inspections, are you talking about,
new builds and like.
New build, they
New
do,
builds.
okay, because I know there was a house in the park that was being flipped. And it was put up for sale, and I knew somebody that put an offer on it, and they had it inspected, and it was an electrical nightmare. And I had talked to Lynn, I had asked Lynn, I said, what goes on there? Because obviously we don't want a house that's gonna catch on fire, you know, with putting other residents at risk here. And she said that she would follow up with Franklin County inspection, and the inspector, to make sure that that house was inspected. I'm 99% sure that was how the conversation went, so.
well, she should know that because they have, in order for, and the first step in getting a permit, a building permit issued, is you have to get zoning approval from the village to approve the plans. So
For a
if-
rehab, for a
For
floor?
any kind of building permit, or.
Anything that you pulled permits on.
Right, you first have to get zoning approval. So if there's no record of zoning approval, they never got a permit.
Well, I mean, when you see a house that's being flipped, I would think that. you
Well,
can
that's
tell
an
if that's
enforcement
right.
thing, that's where we gotta be over there, you know,
Well,
send
yeah.
someone over and say, let's see the permit.
Yeah.
But that's part of the problem with having turned this over to Franklin County. You know, and this is why I have an issue with Eric saying that Franklin County's our building department. They're not our building department. They do one thing, they do inspections, and that's it. And if we're gonna establish a building department, we should have the language, a department head, the people in place to go and make sure that they're pulling building permits. This whole thing was created, the residential building department, there's a long story, and I've been waiting for this. We could have a meeting to take all day for me to talk about all the examples
You promised
of,
we would.
when
Yeah, well,
when
we're
the
not
village
solving
created
tonight.
this department, they never even bothered to, when we assigned the building inspections to Franklin County, we did that because the state came up with the new building code. Gene never had the foresight to even adopt the new code at the time. It took 4 years of me explaining to him that you can't enforce a code that's not on the books. And it's a long story that goes to Gene's
Well, I think.
incompetence. Like I said in the email, I'll say it again.
Okay, so, but I think unless history helps us solve the future, then we don't need to.
It does when
we
it comes
don't-
to what kind of law record we have.
But I mean, okay, I just meant solving the problem with making this,
Right.
right,
Well,
building
I
inspection
guess
and all
what-
that, right, so that's where we just need to, I think we need to collect what we need and fix it, so, but I think that's an effort that should be, I would think should involve some people who are qualified in planning and zoning, or we may even be able to pull some residents who have experience
I
in
tell
code
ya, I don't-
enforcement, just in order to get, make sure we don't forget anything. So,
So as an action item list, the, do I need a permit from that document is being pulled down from the website from staff. I personally asked Pam Park Curry to pull them from the, Welcome to Minerva Park, binders. So that's going to hopefully go away, at least until it, cause a document like that should exist, it just should be correct.
Should be ready.
So
That's
until
fair.
that gets fixed, it's going to go away. Until then, might I suggest that this is a more, a discussion better for a work session? Or we talked about the right, committee or subcommittee for this, and as cumbersome as it is, I believe that it is planning and zoning. There's no other better subcommittee or committee, wherein to discuss these issues other than planning and zoning.
And I
Other
think-
than at a
and-
council
and
work
let's-
session,
right.
wherein we should also discuss it.
Well-
My point being that we should probably not continue to rehash it at a special, council meeting,
I'm done.
which was called for a particular purpose.
Right.
Just for Lori.
yeah, and I think, of course, planning and zoning should have something to say about what level of involvement they even want, so, or how they see this issue. So, all right, so we have that as open item to move forward. Any other new or old business? Okay, any citizens' comments?
Oh, wait, I guess I could
What?
tell you. There was heavy cleaning in the first section of the CCTV. I don't know how extensive
Storm
or what,
sewers?
but in the storm sewer, sanitary sewer project is still moving forward, but I didn't have this update last Monday. But they did, encounter some heavy cleaning to be able to televise, so I don't know how extensive, exactly where, but this was only Park Lane Court, Park Lane area, and then the West Bridge and Wildwood. And just an FYI, I had to pass it as an emergency and didn't wait 30 days because they were having issues, so.
That wouldn't have
I
happened this
appreciate
That
year.
wouldn't have
that as a
happened.
resident who floods continually on Wildwood.
So,
Well,
If you've ever
you know,
had
the
a
fact
flooded
that there's,
basement, you would understand why it'd be a crisis to have to.
So it's
wait.
done.
I think that's great, because, I'm glad to hear that there
yes, there
was
was,
heavy.
it was not a waste, it was
That's a good,
heavy.
that's
Yeah.
really good news.
That's
It
good.
is.
It
It's
is,
good
because
news
if they
that there
didn't
was
find a
blockage.
problem, we.
It is
Yeah,
good
that
because
would
a
be
year
bad.
ago, we weren't investigating the storm
Right.
sewers and apparently, and that has been part of the flooding issues
Right.
and it has been brought to light that there was in fact an issue that we should have been investigating
Yeah.
a
Well,
while
and the
back.
ultimately worst situation would be if the storm sewers were operating
Perfect.
correctly
Right.
And we were having
and we were
problems.
still
I
having all
agree.
this
I
flooding,
agree.
so.
The fact
So-
that we can't get an emergency squad on Park Lane when we have a heavy rain, that
Is a
it's
problem.
up to people's, past their knees, past almost to some people's waist, depending on how tall you are.
Is the very definition of an emergency for
That's
this
an
council.
emergency
Right.
and that's a problem.
Yes.
So good news is that was the only old business and that was
Okay.
just, I wanted to email Mike and see how it went. And that was the update that he gave me. He'll give me more specifics for our next meeting, but he just wanted to at least give that little tidbit of information.
Okay, great.
That's it.
All right. Citizen comments? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second,
All
third,
those
fourth,
in
fifth.
favor? Oh, yeah.
Aye.
No, opposed? No, okay. Adjourned.